time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed it does, and great to have you with us on this Friday edition of the show. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes, as we do every day. A lot to talk about. Brian Twining in for Tino Patino today, who needed the day off. Talk about the race at Richmond this weekend. NASCAR Cup Series on Saturday this week. So we'll talk about that with our friend Brian Twining from Bleacher Nation, who usually joins us on Mondays. We'll also be joined by Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online, run through some of the top stories of the week with him. A very interesting quote from an NBA player that I want to get his thoughts on about dating women. You got to hear it. We'll get into that coming up a little later on as well. Some thoughts from Major League Baseball. Why do they have instant replay? I really have to wonder. Why do they have instant replay? I'll point to an example of why that has me frustrated. And we start things in the NFL with Sam Yarnell, who is here with us as he is each and every day. And Sam, we're going to do something over the next 6 shows starting today. For the NFL with the season coming up, because there's always the favorites to win divisions and, conferences, and there's odds and all this stuff that we always talk about on the show ad nauseum. And one of the things we're obviously talking about is who are going to win the various divisions around the NFL. And we'll have our predictions coming up in a couple of weeks here on the program. But what I want to do is, for the next 6 shows, I want to run through every division and look at who the favorite is and ask the question that you see on the screen. If not, then who? If not, then who? The AFC East is our focus today, Sam, on the show. And I feel like this is probably the easiest one to get a handle on, because when you look at the odds in the AFC East right now, the Buffalo Bills are huge favorites to win the division. Are they the biggest favorites to win the division? They might actually be. Minus 270. Yes, they are the biggest favorites to win an NFL division, the AFC East. The Bills are minus 270. After that, we ask, if not Buffalo, Sam, then who? The Patriots are plus 550. The Dolphins are plus 700. And the Jets are plus 1,800. So, Sam, I know you are Bills fan number 1, so the answer for you might be nobody. But if not the Buffalo Bills, then who?
Yeah, there are a couple of reasons why this thought exercise and beginning it with this division specifically are quite unique to me. But I think that the first question to me, obviously, when you do an exercise like this is, well, what would it take for the Buffalo Bills to not be the favorites, let's just say, in the AFC East? And the simple answer, I think, is Josh Allen, but then you get further into it, and this is the question I asked myself. Would I make the Buffalo Bills, with as much talent as on that roster and a regular season defense as good as we've seen, besides the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe, in the Baltimore Ravens in the NFL? You're talking about a team that had a historic regular season last year, the likes of which we haven't seen in decades in the National Football League, even through the multiple dynasties we've gone through in that time. So the question to me became, with a Josh Allen injury, would the Bills not be favored to win this division? And I don't think the answer is yes. I think a Mike White, Mitchell Trubisky, even Shane Buechele-led Buffalo Bills team is probably still your AFC East favorite. Really? That's just how bad this division is. But, I'll do the Max Kellerman thing here, right? Fate of the world resting on the AFC East. Martians have the death beam pointed at Buffalo. I guess give me New England to win the division, but I don't feel confident in that at all. In a first-year head coach and a key offensive piece coming off of an ACL, and your best offensive piece. Let's not mince words. Coming off of an ACL injury and continuously trending down throughout his career. So, if the Patriots can win every game 14-9, then they have the most realistic shot, I guess.
I'm going to tell you something, and I know this is going to sound nuts to people. first of all, what won't sound nuts is I agree with you. Nobody else is winning the AFC East. But we had to get this one out of the way. It's a Friday edition of the show. We'll
just news dump this one.
We're news dumping this division. That is exactly what we're doing. We're news dumping this division. Everybody's watching Trump's press conference with Vladimir Putin, and so it's fine. So I will agree with you on that. But people are going to think I'm nuts. If everything breaks right, I think the second best team in the division is actually the Jets.
I don't disagree.
But their odds to win the division are the craziest at plus 1,800. Again, to win the division. I get it. But I think the Jets, I think Miami is the same old Miami. I think there's an X factor in this division, and it's Justin Fields. That if you get primo Justin Fields, I'm telling you, if you get, we're totally making a meme out of that. If we get primo Justin Fields, if we get the Justin Fields that everybody thinks he could be, new head coach, that defense is pretty good. They've got a couple of offensive weapons. Why not the Jets as the second best team in the division? And if the death beam hits Buffalo and Orchard Park, I'll go with the Jets. There. If I have to do this for the sake of this exercise, I will say it's the Jets.
So I agree with the sentiment in that if everything goes right for
Patriots,
the Jets,
by the way, Patriots second hardest schedule in the NFL this year.
Sure. And again, I think we're talking ceilings now, right? And
yes.
If everything goes right for every team in the division, I think that the Jets could probably be the second best team, maybe. I don't know if Justin Fields is the X factor as much as a guy like Breece Hall is coming off of a down year in his first year returning from a major injury. If he can severely bounce back, and maybe that's a different way Justin Fields is an X factor in the running game. I don't expect him to throw for a lot of yards. I don't expect Garrett Wilson to get a ton of action this season, but that defense is incredible. Like, until they fired Robert Saleh last year, let's not forget how outstanding that defense is. And I know they've got guys who are a year older, but I don't know, man. I agree with you in the sentiment that if the bazillion things that need to break right for the Jets, they could be the second best team in that division.
I don't think it's crazy. But again, easiest of all the divisions we're going to do this exercise with Buffalo being the best team in the division without question. I just, again, barring that November alien ship coming and blowing up the planet, we're done. Coming up in 10 minutes, Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, hangs out with us. Get some thoughts with him on some of the top stories of the day. Let's do some baseball, both the Major League and Little League variety. Why do we have instant replay, Sam Yarnell? What is the purpose of instant replay? There's an answer to this, by the way. This is not a rhetorical question. What is the purpose of instant replay? It's to get the call right. That's the purpose of instant replay. It's to get the calls right and do it quickly. I was absolutely stunned last night watching this Guardians Twins game. Extra innings. 11th inning, and there you see it. Looked like a foul tip. Hit off the ground. You got a umpire saying, no, went into the glove. It's not a foul tip. Rocco Baldelli comes out and says, no, you got it wrong. It hit the ground. The batter says it hit the ground. The catcher probably knows it hit the ground. The umpires sitting out in the field probably know it hit the ground. Rocco Baldelli gets tossed. The call is maintained as a strikeout, and Ryan Jeffers is out. The Twins lose in extra innings 4-3. Now, the Twins aren't going to the playoffs, so who cares? But the fact that this isn't reviewable, Sam, the fact that this play, of all the things that they can review, that something as simple as this, you could review somebody getting hit by a pitch, and you can't review a ball, whether or not it was a foul tip into the dirt, to me is just, I can't believe that this is an oversight from the folks at Major League Baseball. Well, maybe I shouldn't be shocked because it is the folks at Major League Baseball. But I can't fathom. Yeah, throw your hat into the field, Rocco Baldelli. You show them. And you explain to me how this is not reviewable. Because this could happen in the postseason. It could happen in a big game down the stretch. It probably has. I couldn't believe it, Sam.
Yeah, it's like as quickly as we were to say, oh, wow, the All-Star game ended in the home run derby. Like, it feels like Major League Baseball's trending in the right direction. Like, maybe Rob Manfred finally figured it out. No, we're quickly reminded of just exactly how royally he screwed this entire thing. Yes, this has been a controversial element of the entire replay ruling system since its inception, 4 or 5 years ago. 6, gosh, I'm getting old at this point. I am disheartened by it, but not at all surprised. Like every time we have one of these things happen, it's always the same thing. It's always, oh yeah, that the common sense would make that part of something that you're actively trying to improve. But no, common sense doesn't prevail.
It'd be just as quick as any other review. It would only take a second. It's not like it's, I don't.
Well, this is what they don't realize is that the time, and this is why I kind of refuse to believe, as much as they're doing for it, that Major League Baseball actually cares to the nth degree about pace of play, because the replay review would have been quicker than Rocco Baldelli running out and arguing the play and eventually getting ejected. That's the stupidest thing out of all of it.
Here's the thing too, Sam. Fair foul is reviewable on balls down the line. If a ball, curls around the foul pole, fair ball, foul ball. For a home run, fair foul, these things are reviewable. So why wouldn't this be the same? It's a question of strike or foul. We're not trying to say whether the ball was a strike over the play. I just hope it doesn't happen in the postseason.
Me being the baseball nerd that I am, I always try to think of like the one situation that would prevent this rule from actually working. So the rule would have something to deal with challenging whether a ball is in play or not, right? If it's in the catcher's glove, it's obviously not in play, but if it hits the ground first, it is. I think that the confusion or the hesitancy to allow that to be challenged, and I can't believe I'm playing devil's advocate on this, but the hesitancy to allow the challenge of that would be you would result in needless challenges throughout the game of whether or not a pitcher was engaged with the rubber at a certain point, and that could elongate the game over the course of a period of time. Is that what would happen? Not necessarily, but it could.
I have to ask the question when it comes to the Little League World Series. How is this kid 12 years old? He's the size of Shohei Ohtani, for crying out loud, Sam. How is this kid from Chinese Taipei? How are they going to... I want to see birth certificates. Okay? I want to see birth certificates. Everybody's worried about topics like women playing and men playing in women's sports. And there's like 4 instances of it anywhere in the country. And we go crazy about that. But a 12-year-old that's a mutant, that's like, looks like he's 17, is out there for Chinese Taipei throwing 82 miles an hour, the MLB equivalent of 107 miles per hour.
So,
I mean, what is going on here?
We got to take a step back, because I know ESPN was so quickly to put that graphic up on the screen. Oh, it's 107 miles an hour MLB equivalent. It's not correct. It's not. The MLB equivalent is still very fast. It's 101, but it's not 107.
Well, then why'd they say 107?
Guys, because the calculation that the ESPN uses at Williamsport, gosh, I almost said Omaha for a second. Wait 6 years, kids. The technology they use at Williamsport is outdated. It's a timing thing, which has been, in the era of prevalent radar guns, significantly disproven. It would be about 101. Needless to say, that is still incredibly fast.
82.
And I think that, Jason, it speaks to a larger conversation that David Ardsman and I have had on this very program as recently as 2 weeks ago about what youth sports and specifically youth baseball has turned into. And I think it really, I know everyone's oohing and ahhing over it, but it really, I hate to be the bear, like a wet blanket on this whole thing.
Yeah.
It is the bad part about baseball that there's a 12-year-old who is manipulating his body to the point where he is throwing 82 miles an hour. It's not safe for a 12-year-old human body to do that.
I gotta be honest too. It's a pretty effortless 82 that he's throwing. Like,
yeah, but he'll get Tommy John when he's 16.
I don't disagree. I'm sure they do great Tommy John in Chinese Taipei. I'm just blown away though. We shouldn't call 12-year-olds mutants. At least I shouldn't. But he is large. He doesn't look 12. We're coming back. All right. Good to have you with us on this Friday edition of SportsWrap. If it's a Friday on the show, it can only mean one thing. Well, it means two things. We're talking NASCAR with Brian Twining later on, but right now, it means we're joined by this guy. Look at that smiling face. Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online, hangs out with us to talk about some of the top stories of the week and some of the not top stories of the week. And this one would fall into the not top stories of the week, but something that I just thought was funny. And I thought would be kind of up your alley in terms of some of the things that you like to cover and laugh about and write about over at Black Sports Online. A prominent NBA player coming out and saying that this was funny. I saw this on NBA Central, which is a great, if you don't follow it on X, you really should. That said, there was one girl I really liked, this NBA player said. She used to talk to a dude in the league, and I was like, I just can't do it because if I'm cooking him and he's allowed to say that's why I hit your girl. I want to repeat that. He said he would not talk to this one girl he really liked because if he's roasting another player and that player may have had some sort of relations with that woman, it was going to get thrown back in his face. I would imagine there are more NBA players that would share this sentiment than just the one that was quoted here.
Now, you would be wrong.
Really?
You would be wrong because in the
they like
NBA,
to share? Is that what you're saying?
Now, I'm just saying there's a thing that's called a circle, all right, in the NBA. And, or, another term that they use is pass arounds in the NBA. This is something that's been happening since sports have been. You've seen Bull Durham.
Yes.
You know how the movie goes.
By the way, it's Michael Porter Jr.
Michael Porter Jr. That is an anomaly. Very often, if you have found a woman that is in a relationship or is in a situationship with an athlete, there's another athlete that has been with that beforehand, and there'll be another athlete with that after. They seem to enjoy that, to the rotation of certain ladies of the night. So Michael Porter is a anomaly with that.
Really?
Surprising, right?
The groupie, it's funny. You know what's funny, though?
When's the last time Michael Porter Jr. ever cooked anybody, first off? So I don't think he has to worry about it. He's a spot-up shooter, and, he shoots a lot of threes, but it's not like he's James Harden. It's not like he's Kyrie Irving. He's not going to put nobody in the spin cycle and want them, and then the guy get mad and be like, oh, I did this to your girl. Well, that's not happening. That Michael Porter doesn't have that in his bag.
Well, he's going to be doing it for the Brooklyn Nets next year. Good luck with that, by the way. He averaged 18 a game last year.
Thanks to Jokic.
Shoots 50. And he shoots 50%, which is.
I could shoot 50% if I had Jokic.
Come on. No, you couldn't. You could not shoot 50%. I'm calling BS 50%. On this. You could not shoot 50%.
I would shoot 50%. Put me in that corner.
I just find it interesting that mentality still exists in sports, given the fact that there are women out there. God, I hate saying this because it makes me sound like a man's. Yeah, I know, but still, it just doesn't come out right when it comes from a male saying it.
I understand.
To say that there are women with women out there that are trying to get a payday, let's just say, by latching on.
Let's put it like this. There are women that want to live a certain lifestyle.
Yes.
And there's the only way you can't live that lifestyle dating
Ask Anthony Edwards.
You know what I mean, right? And to date a certain lifestyle, you have to date a rapper or athlete or entertainer, whatever it may be. And there's nothing wrong with that, people. If that's the lifestyle that they want to lead and that's who they want to date, that's fine. There's no judgment from us on that. But what happens is that's a very, very limited pool.
Yeah.
And some of the guys that they're dating aren't the best, let's say, mature quality.
Anthony Edwards again.
Like, let's say, Andrea Michelle is always going to be with an athlete, even if that athlete is 20 years younger than her.
Yes. I get it. But it's just fascinating that players still fall into that trap of that lifestyle and potentially winding
that's
up.
when you don't have to go to college for 4 years.
That is what happens. The NBA announced this week their regular season schedule in terms of which networks are going to have games on which nights. And if you love the NBA, there will be some place to watch it every night nationally now. Mondays, it'll be on Peacock. Good luck going up against Raw over on Netflix. They'll be battling and streaming. Tuesdays, NBC and Peacock. Wednesdays, the games will be on ESPN and only ESPN. Thursday is obviously the Amazon Prime night, as they got that from Turner Sports. Fridays, Amazon Prime and ESPN. Saturdays, Amazon Prime and ABC. And Sundays, ABC, NBC, and Peacock. Everybody gets some, Robert Littal.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I do think that it's healthy that you have maybe more of a spread out of individuals and networks that you can watch, so that way it doesn't seem like it's a monopoly, just with one. I know you heard that it looks like Inside the NBA is only going to be on like maybe once or twice in the first 2-3 months of the season. I thought that upset a lot of people that ESPN is not going to be using that product the way that some people thought that they would. I mean, it's great for the NBA as they get more exposure for their players. More money is coming in. More broadcasters are out there. I think it's a good time, for the NBA as they get close to the transitioning from the LeBron and Steph era.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it is. I just wonder how many people are going to go and get all these different, streaming services. This is where I think we're getting into that. I think we're getting into that weird time now where everything's going to be on some sort of streaming platform, and people are just going to have to pick and choose which ones they want to get, unless they're going to get all of them like we do in our house.
Yeah, and that's costly. One day I looked up and I just kind of put the calculator up. And, it's $14 here, $20 there, $9 there. And, it comes up and then it's like, man, this sounds like a cable bill from the 1990s, or the early 2000s. Yeah. And that was the whole point, to cut the cord. Now the cord is virtual and it can't be cut.
No, it certainly cannot. There was other news from the world of sports media that I want to get to on the other side, but I also want to get your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders. And boy, how much changed for him in just the span of the last time we talked to where we are now. We're going to get to that coming up in a couple minutes as well. With Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, who hangs out with us on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. Don't go anywhere. Coming up in 10 minutes, we speak to our friend Brian Twining, who's in for Tino Patino this week. Preview NASCAR in Richmond. Just a couple of races left in the regular season before we get to the playoffs. Shane Van Gisbergen has 4 wins, and none of them have come on ovals. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever. But that's the way NASCAR has it set up. Robert Littal, the founder of Black Sports Online, hangs out with us every Friday on the show, and today is no different. One more sports media note I want to get to. Roger Goodell and Jimmy Pitaro, both addressing ESPN on this new buy-in with ESPN and the NFL now working more in tandem than ever before. The NFL with a stake in ESPN and Roger Goodell saying, hey, we expect the same objective journalism and that hard-hitting journalism. Don Van Natta, we're talking to you. That's always covered our league, and we expect you to be as vigorously ardent in your defense of the First Amendment and going after our NFL. This is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard in my life, Robert Littal. It is the biggest load of garbage I've ever heard in my life. If you expect me to believe. And Don Van Natta, all the power to him. I love the guy. I really do. We've interacted on social media before and stuff, and I think he does a great job with his form and brand of investigative journalism. But if you expect me to believe that the NFL is going to get hit hard on big news items and things that reflect negatively on their league by ESPN, given the investment they've just made, I mean, really, come on.
I mean, we're old enough to remember when the NFL got ESPN to cancel Playmakers. And then this is when ESPN was big back then, but they weren't big like they are, now. And so we know that the NFL has a heavy arm. We know that they hold their television rights over all of the networks' heads, that they can pull them pretty much, every couple of years and all willing to give it to a Netflix, willing to give it to a Prime or something like that. Roger Goodell is John Gotti, of sports. He's Al Capone. Maybe that's Jerry Jones. I don't know, but I think if there's a story that shows the NFL in a negative light, I guarantee you when you go to ESPN.com, that won't be by any ESPN writer. It will just be taken from the Associated Press.
Yeah, it's true. And look, I'm sure there is going to be some coverage of those types of items, but I guarantee you there's a line that they can't cross. There's a certain spot where they can't cross. And it'll be interesting to continue to follow. And Jimmy Pitaro tried, it was one of the suits at ESPN, tried basically saying the same thing. We're going to be just as vigorous in our journalistic standards and blah, 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 blah. Talk to me about Shedeur Sanders, because a week ago when we spoke, I don't know if any of us could have imagined him going out and doing what he did in his first preseason game. I was hoping he would. Anybody who watched this show knows I was hoping for the chaos. We love chaos on this show. And him playing that well, certainly for at least a few days, threw things into chaos. Now he's dealing with this oblique injury, and we'll see where all of that leads. But not just the performance by Shedeur Sanders that I want to get your thoughts on, Robert Littal, but the fact that there are a lot of people cheerleading for him from the sidelines, from other sports, from entertainment, that are really trying to rally around him to do everything they can to push him forward as their own agenda.
That's sort of sports in a nutshell, or maybe it's just society in a nutshell. We a lot of times you get pushed down, you get talked bad about, you get kicked, stomped, whatever it may be, and then once you're at your lowest, people want to pull you up, and they want to be your friend now. They can't believe that happened to you, and then they build you back up, and only to kick you down again at some point in your career. So I'm not surprised by this. I think there was a certain feeling about Shedeur Sanders before the draft, but to see him going to 5th round, I think even the most rational person was like, there's something a little fishy, about that, to the point that now it's like people are on his side, that they feel like he's been done unfairly, or they just don't like the Browns. So they want him to succeed, and for him to go out there and have a solid, preseason game. It wasn't the best preseason game I've ever seen in my life, but, it gets amplified because of the attention. And the Browns are in a really interesting situation, because right now, Shedeur Sanders is probably top 5 most popular players in the NFL. And he's a 5th round draft pick. And then, what do you do with that, especially when the
almost feels like Tim Tebow. It almost feels like Tim Tebow.
He's Tebow with actual NFL starting talent. That's what like that. But it's the same premise that you mentioned.
Yeah, it does. It has that sort of feel to it. And it's also the problem if you're the Browns and the pundits around the league who prior to that game, the bar was set so low.
Yeah.
And when you set a bar that low and somebody not just leaps it, but leaps it by tons, now you've put it in a position where he looks like the savior in Cleveland.
You know who I feel bad for a little bit? It's Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah,
Good
I do
kid.
too.
Went to Oregon. I know him a little bit,
Yep.
from being out here and playing and talking to him when they played Ohio State. It's a tough situation for him because he's the 3rd round pick. And if there was no Shedeur Sanders, he would just be coming along the way, a regular 3rd round pick. But he's in the midst of all this, and it's a no-win situation. If they start him in this preseason game and he throws an interception
or 2,
or whatever it may be, if he doesn't do exactly the same, if not better, than Shedeur, he won't be able to come back from that. And that's ridiculous to me for just a preseason stuff.
Everybody's been set up to fail in a situation where you have that many quarterbacks in the room. Everybody's been set up to fail. Honestly.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on him if he does. Well, he's going to play, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
Robert Littal, founder of Black Sports Online. Have a great weekend, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Down goes Michigan. Down goes Michigan. Down goes.
Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. Huge news from the world of college football. Look at the smile on this guy's face. He already knows the news, but we're not going to spoil it for people. They probably already know the news too, though. Michigan got whacked. We all knew they were getting whacked. There. I just killed my own tease for the next segment. Brian Twining, Bleacher Nation, hangs out with us on the show every Monday, except when we're off like we were this past Monday. He's not usually with us on Friday, so this is a bonus for us. We get Brian Twining with us on a Friday edition of the show to talk about NASCAR, and this week they will be in Richmond, Brian Twining. But before we talk about Richmond, I have to once again mention my favorite subject, which is Shane Van Gisbergen, who continues to win races some way, somehow. As long as they're on a road course, he's got a chance to win every time. And this year, he's basically won all of them. He's got 4 wins, tied for the most wins in the Cup Series, Brian. I mean, it's kind of silly at this point because we all know what he is and who he is. He's got and being tied for the most wins. I think we put an asterisk next to it because they're all road courses. But you're going to be the contrarian that says it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's interesting watching Shane do what he does, but then also looking at the current playoff standings and seeing how other guys are performing.
Is he becoming like the most polarizing guy in NASCAR because of this right now?
Yeah, so when you look at Shane's statistics, I believe he has like 5 top 10s on the year, 4 of them coming at road courses. But when you go down the board, somebody like Joey Logano, he doesn't have very many more top 10s, or Josh Berry or Austin Cindric, all other guys that are locked into the playoffs themselves. They all have similar type of numbers. It's just Shane is so polarizing because he's in that like 23 position finishing range on average for the season, and he's only winning on road courses. And so people are upset. And I think what makes it more upsetting is the fact that he's currently, if the playoffs started today, the 2nd seed in the playoffs.
It's crazy. And it's got to drive these and I know they'll say all the right things. It's got to drive these guys nuts, Brian. It has to. That he's just this one-trick pony out there who's basically non-competitive when you talk about any sort of oval. It's got to drive these guys nuts, whether they'll say anything about it or not.
I'm sure it does drive guys crazy, but I think Denny Hamlin and somebody like Kyle Larson, they've kind of hit on it before in the fact that this is only his 2nd year in Cup, like ever riding in the Cup car or racing ovals, to be exact. And the fact that he is improving does show the type of racer that he is. And they're actually in awe of what he's able to do on the road courses and how quickly he's kind of picking up the other type of racing.
I'm trying to think of another sport. I'm trying to think of a comparison to another sport for what he is in this sport and what he does. Maybe it'd be like a clay court specialist in tennis. Maybe it would be something like that. Maybe it would be somebody like for years, there were guys that were just masters on the clay courts. They sucked on every other surface, but they were always really dangerous on clay courts. And maybe that's just what he is.
I kind of equate it to say a rugby star who was incredible.
Boy, go with another obscure sport. Thanks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, rugby is kind of similar to the NFL.
Yeah.
If they were the best player in rugby and they came over to the NFL and say they were like immediately the best running back because that's what they do in rugby. It's more about the physicality of the game as opposed to the nuances of setting up plays and blocking and running routes and all that stuff. So that's kind of the way that I look at it. Look, I love it. I'm a contrarian at heart, and so I love everything about Shane and what he's doing, and I hope he gets to the championship just to rile up the fans even more.
Talk about this week's race. Last year, it was Austin Dillon winning this race. Put an asterisk next to that one.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon winning this race last year. You look at the favorites for this year: Denny Hamlin at plus 390, Christopher Bell at plus 440, Kyle Larson at 850, Joey Logano at 850, William Byron 10-1, Chase Elliott 12-1. As you handicap this race this week, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's Denny Hamlin and everybody else. He's got 5 top 5s in the 6 Gen 7 era races here. He was probably going to win last year had Austin Dillon not turned down to spin him to win the race. And so I think Denny Hamlin should be the clear favorite. A lot of people are looking at this and saying Christopher Bell, he's really good at short tracks, but he hasn't really been as good this year as he was in 2024. So I do think that you kind of discount him a little bit there, with his toughest competition coming from guys like Chase Elliott. And then everybody's going to look to Logano, who was really good here last year as well.
Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher continue to be the bubble. Ryan Preece just outside that bubble. Where do you see those guys, and how do you see this race shaping up for the 3 that are trying to stay in the playoffs right now?
Yeah, I think Tyler Reddick's fairly safe. 23-11 has actually been really good here at Richmond. Reddick finished 4th as a result of the Joey Logano wreck last year here. 23-11 in general, it's going to be really well. That bodes well for our guy, Bubba Wallace. Watch out for him. He could sneak another W here. And I think Christopher Buescher and Alex Bowman, they're going to have their hands full. This isn't necessarily a track where they both perform really well. And Ryan Preece, known as a short track guy, could really pop. So this is a danger zone for Buescher. Not necessarily Bowman, but definitely Buescher.
Brian Twining does a great job on all things. So if you're picking me a winner, it's Denny Hamlin, right?
If you're going with the favorite, and if you're going long shot, Bubba Wallace.
Ooh. Yeah, I've been kind of interested to see what Bubba does post that Indy win. And it's been kind of interesting watching him since then. He's done pretty well though in terms of where he's finishing in a lot of these races.
I was just gonna say, Bubba Wallace auxiliary markets, top 5, top 10, top Toyota, maybe even to win stage 1, I think are all great numbers.
Love it. Brian Twining does a great job with Bleacher Nation. I always appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for pinch hitting.
Thanks, Jason. Have a nice weekend.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Friday. Still laughing at something I said earlier in the show. Not laughing in a haha, it was funny way. I called a 12-year-old kid a mutant. Look at the size of this 12-year-old kid from Chinese Taipei. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just doubting whether or not he's 12. I mean, you could be that size at 12. I mean, I'm sure Yao Ming was really big when he was 12 years old, so it's conceivable. Some things to get to before we say goodbye. Reminder, if you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon, Odyssey, you name it. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can get the podcast version of this show. Available Monday through Friday, 45 minutes commercial free. What are you waiting for? Go and check it out. We also have the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to our Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, here's the best reason to do it. You can watch this show every day commercial free right there. 45 minutes, perfect, error free. We also have Sports Wrap shorts, which are available on our YouTube channel. Whenever news breaks, we put it there. If it's something we weren't able to get into the show, it came outside of our window when we put the show together. Sports Wrap Shorts is the place to go for that as well. You can also watch the show on Spotify too. And without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Big news coming down from the NCAA, and it is not good news if you are Jim Harbaugh, Connor Stallions, or Sharon Moore, who has been suspended. Did I say Sharon Moore? I meant Shamar Moore. Anyway.
Sharon Moore. God,
Sorry.
0 for 2. Goodness gracious.
Strike 3. Third time was the charm. Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore has been suspended for 1 game. Connor Stallions has just been suspended for 8 years, show cause. And Jim Harbaugh's got 10 years on top of what he already got prior to that. So you won't see Jim Harbaugh coaching NCAA football anytime soon. This is not a surprise, though, Sam. We had Bill Bender on the show yesterday, and we were talking about it with him briefly because we knew this news was coming today. Folks, a lot of the college football insiders knew this news was coming down today. I don't think Michigan fans care. I mean, what's Michigan's first game of the year for Sharon Moore? See,
the funny thing is the suspension isn't even for the first game of the year, I believe. So he suspended weeks 3 and 4 because of the Michigan internal investigation into the. So he has a 2-game suspension, which he'll serve weeks 3 and 4.
Okay.
I believe week 5 is when he'll serve the game that he's being given from the NCAA here.
Okay, so there you go. I don't think anybody. Look. First of all, this feels like it was a million years ago that this took place, and you're just now getting some sort of sanctioning from the NCAA. We were never going to see Connor Stallions coaching anywhere meaningful again, anyways. I just okay. That my response, my honest response to this is okay.
Yeah, you hope Connor Stallions got comfortable coaching high school football in wherever he is, Ohio, I think, or maybe it's in Michigan, somewhere in Michigan. I don't know. I apologize, but he will be there for a long time, so I have a long time to learn what state he is coaching college football or high school football, and he's not allowed to coach college football. Jim Harbaugh will ride out the rest of his coaching career in the NFL. Yeah. He'll attack every day with a tenacity unknown to mankind. And he probably doesn't even know that he got suspended from college football, honestly. That's just the way that guy's brain works. Michigan's got to pay $20 million in fines. So that's like approximately 1.5 donors worth to football program alone. That's not going to hurt anybody. Yeah. And yeah, the Sharon Moore thing, he'll either miss a game. I just have their schedule up here. So if it's week 1, he'll be missing a game against New Mexico. If it's week 3, oh wait, we already said he suspended week 3 for the Central Michigan game. Ironic. Suspended week 4 for the Nebraska game. If it's the following week, it'll be the Wisconsin game, an unranked team. And Michigan comes into the season ranked 14th in the country.
Nice.
So
there you go.
He's not missing anything important. And when this story first happened, Jason, you and I talked about it. This will end up being a slap on the wrist.
Yep.
What is it? 2 years later, a slap on the wrist.
Like I said, good riddance. It's now the NCAA can sort of move on, and we could all move on with our lives, knowing this punishment that I think all of us knew was coming. Real quick before we say goodbye, PGA Tour's playoffs are going on. Did you know? They're playing the BMW Championship, I think this weekend is what it is. Robert McIntyre was your first round leader. Tommy Fleetwood, by the way, in second. Tommy Fleetwood, the guy who cannot get across the finish line in a PGA Tour event, still looking for his first win. I can't imagine the anguish that it is being a Tommy Fleetwood fan, or even better yet, being Tommy Fleetwood, Sam, because the guy cannot figure out a way to close out one of these PGA Tour events. Does it happen this weekend?
Probably not, because Bobby Mack was incredible on Thursday. 29 on the back nine, including 7 birdies, Jason.
And like 190.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. It's Bobby Mack or it's Scotty Scheffler this weekend.
It's like 190 feet of putts that he made, something like that. Some crazy number like that as well. Oh, we got to go. Thank you to Brian Twining. Thanks to Sam Yarnell, Robert Littal. We'll see you next week.